All right, so let's dive into AI for good. We're going to be talking about real-world examples, not just, robots taking over the world, the stuff that makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. We often hear these kind of extreme viewpoints on AI, like the total doom and gloom or, the crazy hype that makes you think of sci-fi movies. But today we're really focusing on like the pragmatic possibilities,
Right,
the
exactly.
things that are backed by actual evidence.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this deep dive so interesting is that the source material actually highlights 5 key guidelines to make sure AI benefits society. It's almost like a roadmap, right, for using AI's power responsibly.
Yeah, totally. And that first guideline really emphasizes like the power of teamwork. Humans and AI working together. So it's not about AI replacing us, it's more about combining our intuition, our creativity with the AI's ability to process tons of data.
It's like that 1 plus 1 equals 3 kind of
Yes.
situation. And that actually leads perfectly into the second guideline, which is all about um, focusing AI on areas where it's going to increase productivity and create more jobs, not fewer.
Mm.
It's a pretty crucial distinction, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, some people worry that AI is just going to automate everything and put everyone out of work. But if we're smart about it, we can actually use AI to create new opportunities.
Mm. Like in the source material, there's this example of agriculture versus, what was it, programming.
Yeah, exactly. So agriculture is a good example of what we call inelastic demand. So even if you increase productivity, people are still only going to eat so much food,
Right.
right? But with something like programming, it's elastic. The more efficient and cheaper we can make software, the more accessible it becomes to businesses, which then creates more demand for programmers.
Oh, that's so interesting. It's like with pizza, if you lower the price, people eat more pizza. That's elastic demand. But with healthcare, people aren't going to suddenly get more sick just because it's cheaper.
Right.
So that's inelastic.
Yeah, perfect analogy. And the third guideline builds on this idea. It suggests that AI should initially focus on these really tedious, repetitive tasks that people often hate doing.
Mhm.
The things that make work feel less
The
fulfilling.
drudgery.
Exactly. AI can free us up to focus on more meaningful aspects of our jobs.
I mean, I would love to offload all those mind-numbing tasks to some sort of AI assistant. So what was that fourth guideline again?
Right. The fourth guideline highlights that the impact of AI is likely going to differ depending on the country. It's not one size fits all. The source material actually suggests that low and middle income countries might see the most significant benefits. They often have very specific needs and challenges that AI could address really effectively.
Right. The needs of like a rural community in India are going to be totally different from the needs of a big city like London or Tokyo.
For sure.
Makes sense. And then there's that fifth guideline, which is super important. Rigorous evaluation, especially in fields like healthcare and education where the stakes are really high.
Yeah, exactly. We can't just rely on hype or gut feelings. We need data to guide us.
So we need to use things like A/B testing and randomized controlled trials
Yep.
to make sure those AI solutions actually deliver on their promises.
Evidence-based decision-making super important.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got these 5 guidelines. It's kind of roadmap for making sure AI benefits society. Now, I want to dive into the actual impact, and I think the first stop has to be the big question. Employment. Will AI steal our jobs?
Yeah, I think that's on everyone's mind these days. But the source material actually suggests it's not as simple as robots taking over.
Like there's this chart in the source material figure 1 that shows how technology has impacted jobs over the past 50 years.
Hmm.
I mean, it shows jobs like telephone operators and typists pretty much vanishing. But then you see these huge increases in jobs for lawyers and programmers. It's kind of wild.
It really illustrates this whole concept of elastic versus inelastic demand.
Okay, break that down for me.
Yeah. So those jobs that disappeared were in fields with like inelastic demand, meaning even if you increase productivity, the demand for those jobs doesn't change much. Agriculture is a good example.
Right, we've gotten super efficient at producing food, but people still only need to eat so much.
Exactly.
But programming, on the other hand, falls into that elastic demand category, right?
Yeah, because as technology gets better and cheaper, it becomes more accessible to more people and businesses, which then creates more demand.
So it's not just about AI replacing jobs, it's more about AI changing the types of jobs that are in demand.
Right.
But the source material also points out that the real issue isn't just about the number of jobs, but the quality of those jobs, too.
You're absolutely right. They highlight this growing concern about income inequality, especially here in the U.S. Wages haven't kept pace with productivity, which leads to that hollowing out of the middle class.
Yeah, so even if AI does create more jobs, we need to make sure they're good jobs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to think about things like wages, benefits, job security.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom. The source material does have these encouraging case studies showing how AI can actually boost human productivity. Like one study showed that young lawyers using AI could complete tasks like 22% faster.
That's huge. And another study showed that AI actually helped low-skilled consultants more than their high-skilled counterparts.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it was like AI was leveling the playing field, giving everyone a cognitive boost.
Imagine having an AI assistant that could help you analyze data, generate reports, or even just brainstorm ideas.
Totally. And we're seeing similar results in other fields. MIT found that AI tools led to a 47% speed up in writing tasks. And then Microsoft reported a 56% boost in programming efficiency.
Those are some impressive numbers. So it sounds like AI has the potential to be a really powerful tool for making us more productive, especially when it comes to tasks that are repetitive or require analyzing tons of data.
Yeah, it's like AI can handle the tedious stuff so that we can focus on things that humans do best.
The things that require creativity and critical thinking. And the source material even gets specific with things like a rapid upskilling program
Right.
and a job forecaster that uses real-time data to predict job trends and suggest career paths.
It's about empowering workers with the information and skills they need to thrive.
I love that. So we're talking about using AI to not just disrupt the job market, but actually make it more adaptable and equitable.
I think that's the key takeaway here.
All right, so we've explored the potential impact on jobs, but now I want to shift gears to another crucial area, education. How can AI actually transform the way we learn and teach?
Education's definitely ripe for disruption, and AI has the potential to be a game changer. We could use AI to address things like the global teacher shortage, personalize learning for every student, and make education more accessible and engaging.
It sounds almost utopian, but the source material also brings up some potential pitfalls and challenges.
Right, we can't just blindly implement AI without thinking about the potential consequences.
One concern that comes to mind is AI widening the gap between students from different backgrounds. Like, what if these AI tools are only available in wealthy schools?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. We need to make sure access to AI-powered education is equitable.
Absolutely. And then there's the challenge of conducting, rigorous evaluations of these AI tools in schools.
Especially in K through 12, it can be really tricky to access the data you need, get consent from parents and teachers, and navigate all the decision-making processes within schools.
Yeah, it's a complex ecosystem for sure. But the source material does suggest some alternatives like natural experiments.
Yeah, so we can observe what happens in schools that do adopt AI and compare them to similar schools that don't.
Right, it's like a real-world test case.
Exactly.
But before we even get to that point, there's one group we absolutely have to get on board, teachers.
Oh, for sure. The source material really emphasizes that AI tools should make the lives of teachers easier. They shouldn't feel threatened by AI. AI should be a valuable tool that supports them, not replaces them.
It should free them up from the tedious stuff like grading and lesson planning.
So they can focus on interacting with students and fostering creativity.
Right, exactly. And there's actually evidence that AI can actually boost learning effectiveness. The source material mentioned a study at Harvard where physics students using an AI tutor learned twice as fast as those in a traditional setting.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know, right? It's amazing to see how AI can actually improve the way we learn and teach. So I'm really curious to hear about those specific milestones for AI in education.
Well, one of the most ambitious and exciting ones is this idea of a worldwide tutor.
Oh, yeah.
A smartphone-based tutoring system that's accessible to literally every child in the world.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Every child, no matter where they live or what their background is, having access to this personalized AI tutor that helps them learn in a way that resonates with them.
It's a pretty powerful vision, and it speaks to AI's potential to democratize access to quality education.
I love it. Of course, there can be challenges in developing such a system. But if we can pull it off, the impact would be massive.
No doubt about it.
Okay, we've covered employment and education. Now, on to another field where AI has huge EE potential, healthcare.
Oh, yeah. Healthcare is a really interesting one. It's facing all these challenges like worker shortages and this ever-increasing complexity of medical knowledge. But AI has the potential to revolutionize how we diagnose, treat, and manage diseases.
I'm sensing a but coming.
Well, the source material really dives into both the potential and the need for caution. We're talking about people's lives here. So it's essential that AI tools are effective, safe, reliable, and equitable in their application. And they also need to earn the trust of both clinicians and patients.
Because ultimately, it's not about replacing human expertise, it's about augmenting it, right?
Exactly. AI can be a valuable tool for supporting decision-making, improving efficiency, and reducing the burden of administrative tasks.
So healthcare professionals can focus on what really matters. Patient care.
That's the goal.
And the source material actually brought up some pretty alarming stats about misdiagnoses in the U.S. Apparently, something like 15% of diagnoses are incorrect, contributing to a significant number of deaths each year.
It's a sobering thought. It highlights that even the best doctors and nurses are human. They can make mistakes.
So where does AI come in?
Well, the source material suggests starting with what they call narrow AI systems. Systems designed for very specific tasks, like screening for diabetic retinopathy or detecting cancer from mammograms.
Okay, so those are areas where AI can really shine, like a second pair of eyes helping to catch things that might be missed.
Right. And it could be particularly impactful in areas facing a shortage of specialists.
Like imagine a smartphone-based AI tool that empowers healthcare workers in remote areas to diagnose and manage conditions that they wouldn't otherwise have the expertise for.
It's definitely within the realm of possibility.
That's incredible.
And while these narrow AI systems are already showing promise, the source material also points to the potential of even more sophisticated, broad medical AI systems.
Okay, what would those look like?
Imagine an AI system that can learn from all sorts of different data. Medical images, lab results, genomic data, even patient histories.
Whoa, it's like having an AI medical detective working alongside doctors and nurses.
Exactly. It could provide a much more comprehensive understanding of a patient's health.
The source material even mentions things like bedside decision support and automated radiology reports.
It's a bold vision, but it's becoming increasingly realistic.
Of course there are going to be challenges, especially when it comes to data privacy and security.
Sure.
But the potential benefits are huge. All right, so we've explored how AI is impacting employment, education, and healthcare. But now I want to shift gears to an area where AI is already having a pretty profound impact: information, news, and social networking. And this is where I think the conversation shifts from maximizing the benefits of AI to mitigating its risks.
You're spot on. AI can be a powerful tool for accessing and sharing information, but it also has the potential to amplify misinformation and bias.
It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, AI helps us connect and stay informed. But on the other hand, we have this whole issue of fake news and the potential for AI to be used for malicious purposes.
And the challenge is that AI systems can be incredibly persuasive even when they're wrong.
So people might overtrust AI, which could have serious consequences.
Exactly. That's why we need to be really careful about how we develop and deploy these systems.
So what can we do about it? The source material talks about some interesting developments, like AI tools that can identify AI-generated content.
Right, like deepfakes.
It's like an arms race, right?
Yeah,
As AI gets better at creating fakes, we need AI to get better at detecting them.
precisely. But there are also more proactive ways to use AI to improve the quality of online discourse. The source material actually mentioned a study where AI-mediated conversations help people with opposing viewpoints understand each other better.
Whoa, that's fascinating.
It's like AI was acting as a mediator, helping to bridge divides and foster more constructive dialogue.
And there's even evidence that AI can help people reevaluate their beliefs, even when those beliefs are based on conspiracy theories.
It's like AI can help people break out of those echo chambers and consider different perspectives.
That's pretty powerful stuff. But of course, we need to make sure AI is used ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. We don't want AI to manipulate people's opinions.
Okay, so what are some of those milestones for AI in the information space?
Well, the source material suggests developing an AI-mediated platform for civic discourse to encourage constructive dialogue,
I like that.
and a disinformation detective agency to combat the spread of harmful content.
So it's like an AI-powered fact-checking squad.
Kinda. And then there's this intriguing concept of controllable AI for curating information consumption.
What does that mean?
Imagine an AI system that helps you manage your own information diet. It balances your personal preferences with your learning goals and makes sure you're exposed to a diversity of viewpoints.
It's like having an AI assistant for your mind, helping you navigate the craziness of the digital world.
Exactly. It's about taking back control of our attention and information intake.
I love that. Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
exploring how AI is impacting employment, education, healthcare, and the information landscape. And it's clear that AI's influence is only going to grow in the coming years.
Oh, absolutely. And as AI continues to evolve, the question of how we govern it becomes even more critical.
Which brings us to our final area of exploration.
Governance, national security, and the role of open source in AI development.
This is where we really get into the nitty-gritty of shaping AI's future, right?
Exactly. It's about making sure AI is developed and used in a way that aligns with our values, protects our rights, and promotes the common good.
It's a big challenge, especially since AI is evolving so rapidly.
For sure. And one of the key challenges we face is that our existing laws and regulations often struggle to keep pace with these advancements.
Yeah, it's like trying to apply rules from the horse and buggy era to the age of self-driving cars.
Exactly. We need to figure out how to adapt our laws to address the unique capabilities of AI.
And that's where those 7 key principles for governing AI come in, right?
Precisely. They provide a framework for thinking about how to navigate this complex landscape.
All right, let's break them down. What's the first principle?
The first principle is all about balancing benefits and risks. We need to recognize that AI has the potential for both good and harm, and we need to carefully weigh the potential consequences of its development.
Right, like with self-driving cars. They could significantly reduce accidents, but we also need to consider things like safety issues and liability if something goes wrong.
It's a classic ethical dilemma.
Okay, what about the second principle?
The second principle emphasizes the importance of conducting holistic and transparent impact assessments.
So before we release powerful AI systems into the world, we need to understand their potential impact on society.
Exactly. And not just the economic impact. We need to consider things like social justice, human rights, and environmental sustainability.
We need to make sure AI benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
I completely agree.
What's next?
The third principle is about leveraging existing legal frameworks. So instead of always creating brand new laws, we should see if we can apply existing ones to AI.
So it's about adapting the wisdom of the past to the challenges of the future.
Exactly. And when that's not possible, the fourth principle guides us to fill in the gaps with carefully designed new policies.
So we need to be proactive and anticipate potential problems.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the fifth principle, mitigating bias. We've already seen examples of AI systems perpetuating and even amplifying existing biases, leading to some really unfair outcomes.
Like those facial recognition systems that are less accurate at identifying people with darker skin tones, that's a perfect example of how AI can reinforce existing inequalities.
Yeah, and it's a huge concern. We need to be very intentional about building fairness and justice into AI systems from the ground up.
What about principle number 6?
Principle 6 is about investing in public interest and national security applications.
So this encourages governments and industry to invest in AI research that benefits society as a whole.
Right. Things like AI-powered disaster response systems or cybersecurity tools.
And the 7th principle?
The 7th principle is about embracing iterative policymaking. AI is evolving so rapidly that a one-size-fits-all approach to governance simply won't work.
So we need to be flexible and adaptable and willing to adjust our policies as AI continues to advance.
Exactly. It's about being nimble and responsive in the face of rapid technological change.
Okay, so these 7 principles provide a framework for thinking about how to govern AI. But what about concrete actions?
That's where the proposed milestones come in.
Okay, like what?
Well, one that stands out is recent government-industry collaborative successes. It encourages governments and private companies to work together to develop policies and technologies that promote the benefits of AI while minimizing its risks.
Collaboration is key.
Definitely. And then we have implementable AI audits. This milestone aims to establish clear criteria for auditing and assessing the impact of AI systems.
So we can hold AI developers accountable and make sure their systems are being used responsibly.
Exactly. And finally, there's the equity improving AI milestone, which focuses on developing AI systems that promote fairness and inclusion.
I love that. It's about using AI to create a more just and equitable world.
I think that's a great note to end on.
It is. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have. From potential impacts on jobs and education to the complex challenges of governing AI, it's clear that we're living in a time of incredible technological transformation.
And as we move forward, it's vital that we continue to have these thoughtful and informed discussions about the future of AI.
Absolutely. We need to make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. And in our next segment, we're going to dive into those inspiring milestones, those 18 specific goals that offer a path toward harnessing AI for the greater good.
It's going to be an exciting conversation.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone. So last time we were talking about how AI is changing the way we consume information. Now let's shift our focus to an area that always gets people talking: media and entertainment. This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a field where AI's impact feels both exciting and, well, a little scary, honestly. Like, on one hand, you have the potential for AI to make storytelling more accessible. Anyone with a smartphone could potentially create amazing visuals or write captivating stories. But then there's that worry that AI will just replace artists, writers, musicians, make them obsolete.
The source material actually brought up a really interesting analogy from Neil Stephenson, the science fiction author. He compared the rise of AI to what happened when movies first came out in the early 1900s. Think about being a stage actor back then and suddenly seeing this new technology that could capture performances and broadcast them to thousands of people. It would have been pretty intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. Are movies going to make us obsolete? That had to be the question on everyone's mind back then. But live theater is still alive and well, right? Even with movies and streaming and all that. People still crave that live experience.
Exactly. And that's the key takeaway. AI doesn't have to replace human creativity. It can be a new tool, a new way to tell stories, maybe even lead to entirely new forms of art and entertainment that we can't even imagine yet.
Yeah, it's like the electric guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't kill acoustic music. It just spawned whole new genres of music. So instead of fearing AI, maybe we should be thinking about the new possibilities it opens up.
I think that's a great way to look at it. And the source material even suggested that AI could actually revitalize some fields that are struggling, like, for example, journalism.
Really? How so?
Well, imagine AI tools that can automate some of those really tedious tasks that journalists have to do, like financial reporting or fact-checking.
That would free up journalists to do the things they do best, right? The in-depth reporting, the investigative work.
Exactly. They could focus on uncovering the truth, holding power to account, and really crafting compelling narratives.
It's like giving journalists superpowers. So what are some of those milestones for media and entertainment?
One that really stands out is what they call the journalist's aid. It's an AI tool that can rapidly fact-check and copy-edit news stories, especially under those tight deadlines that journalists often face.
It's like having a superpowered research assistant by your side, catching errors and double-checking facts in an instant. That would be incredible.
And then there's the copyright detector revenue share, which tries to address the thorny issue of, well, AI using copyrighted material without permission. As AI gets better at creating content, this is going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, we need to make sure artists and writers are fairly compensated when AI uses their work, especially as things get blurrier between like human-created content and AI-generated content.
It's about striking that balance, fostering creativity while protecting intellectual property rights. Okay, so we've talked about creative fields, but now let's zoom in on an area where AI is making some mind-blowing advances. Science.
This is where things get really exciting, right?
Yeah.
The source material talked about how AI is accelerating scientific discovery, helping researchers solve complex problems, and finding new insights way faster than before.
Absolutely. We're seeing breakthroughs in all sorts of scientific disciplines, from visualizing black holes to predicting floods, even controlling plasma for nuclear fusion.
I mean, those are some pretty impressive examples, not just theory, but actual real-world applications.
One of the most striking examples was AI being used for protein folding. A few years ago, researchers actually created an AI system called AlphaFold that essentially solved a problem that had puzzled scientists for decades, figuring out the structure of proteins.
Yeah, that was a huge EE breakthrough. Didn't they win a Nobel Prize for that?
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal. It shows the potential of AI to transform scientific research, and it could have huge implications for things like developing new drugs and therapies.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around it. AI helping us unlock the secrets of life. But the source material also pointed out that a big part of AlphaFold's success was having access to a ton of data, like the Protein Data Bank, which has information on thousands of protein structures.
Exactly. It's like giving AI a massive toolbox to work with. The more data we can feed these systems, the better they'll be at making connections and uncovering insights.
It makes you wonder what other breakthroughs are just waiting to be discovered. And then there's this amazing idea in the source material, the scientist's AI aid collaborator. It's like having a super smart AI partner in the lab, helping you analyze data, run simulations, even brainstorm new research directions.
It's a really cool concept, and the source material even suggested that more advanced AI could help scientists make decades worth of progress in just a few years.
Wow, that's a bold statement. So what are some of the proposed milestones for AI in science?
Well, one that's particularly inspiring is AI scientific breakthroughs for the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The idea is to use AI to tackle those huge global challenges like poverty, hunger, and climate change.
Using AI to make the world a better place. I love it.
And then, of course, there's the Scientists AI Aid Collaborator, which we just talked about. These milestones highlight the potential of AI to not just advance scientific knowledge, but to use that knowledge to solve real-world problems.
Okay, so we've seen how AI is impacting employment, education, healthcare, information, media, and now science. It's clear that AI is everywhere. It's changing everything.
And as AI continues to evolve, the big question is how we govern it, how we ensure it's used responsibly, and how we shape its development to benefit all of humanity.
Which brings us to our final area of exploration: governance, national security, and the role of open source technology in AI development. This is where it gets really complex.
You're absolutely right. It's like navigating uncharted territory. We're dealing with a technology that's changing so fast, and the implications are huge and often really hard to predict.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into AI for the public good. We've covered a lot of ground so far, huh? From jobs and education to the ethics of AI. It's been a pretty mind-bending journey.
No doubt about it. And it's clear that AI is only going to become more influential in the coming years.
And that's exactly why I wanted to circle back to those 18 milestones you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Those concrete steps we can take to harness AI for good.
Right, right. Those milestones offer a roadmap, a way to make sure we're using AI to benefit humanity, not just create new problems.
Because let's be honest, it's easy to get bogged down in all the potential risks and downsides of AI.
It can be a bit overwhelming for sure.
But the source material also paints this really optimistic vision of what's possible if we get it right.
Definitely. AI has the potential to solve some of our biggest problems, to create a more equitable and prosperous future for everyone.
So let's talk specifics. What are some of those key milestones that really stand out?
Well, one we touched on earlier is that rapid upskilling program.
Oh, right, the one that helps workers in low-income jobs quickly learn new skills.
Exactly. Imagine a system that could help someone boost their earnings by thousands of dollars in just a few months.
It's about giving people the tools they need to adapt and thrive in a rapidly changing job market.
And that's just one example. Another one that I find really inspiring is the worldwide tutor.
The one that's like a personalized AI tutor for every child on the planet.
That's the one.
It's a pretty ambitious goal.
Oh, absolutely. But the potential impact is huge.
Think about the educational opportunities this would unlock, especially for kids in underserved communities.
It could revolutionize education on a global scale.
I'm curious, how would we actually make these milestones happen? They're pretty big, hairy, audacious goals.
Well, the source material suggests some concrete strategies. For one, it recommends establishing significant prizes, potentially worth millions of dollars, to reward those who make substantial progress towards achieving these goals.
Oh, like a competition to drive innovation.
Exactly. It's a proven way to incentivize people to tackle really tough challenges.
And it's not just about money, right? The source material also talked about setting up dedicated research centers focused on AI.
Yeah, bringing together the best minds in AI, ethics, policy, all the different perspectives we need to make sure we get this right.
It's about fostering collaboration, recognizing that no single person or organization have all the answers.
And that's been a recurring theme throughout our deep dive, hasn't it? Whether we're talking about employment, education, healthcare, or governance, collaboration is absolutely key to making AI work for everyone.
It's about coming together to build a shared future where AI empowers people, enhances our lives, and helps us create a more just and sustainable world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into AI for the public good.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. And I hope our listeners are walking away feeling informed, inspired, and maybe even a little bit challenged.
Because ultimately, the future of AI is up to all of us.
It's a future we have the power to shape. So let's continue to explore these ideas, share our perspectives, and work together to make sure AI is a force for good in the world.
I'm excited to see what we accomplish together.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.